Does the book make her look innocent or guilty? Is it in the eye of the beholder? Fascinating. Really strange fact in all of this. Okay, joining us to help us answer this question, the attorney representing the family of Eric Richins, Greg Skordas, and joining us, nationally known psychotherapist, host of Talking Live and the Bite-Sized podcast, and author of a book on killer spouses, Dr. Robi Ludwig. All right, before I get to you, Dr. Robi, what was it, Till Death Do Us Part, I believe?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Exactly. All right, Dr. Robi, before I get your take on it, I want you to listen to a passage from this grief book, dedicated to my amazing husband and a wonderful father. And then this is a piece of it. Yes, I am with you as you walk the halls of the new school, making new friends, meeting new teachers. I will sit at your desk next to you, teaching you, pushing you to try harder, and giving you my love when you succeed. A book, a story for children who've lost a parent. Dr. Robi, does it make her look innocent or guilty?
Well, the book as a standalone doesn't make her look guilty or innocent, but in retrospect, it could influence the jury in terms of Kouri profiting off of her husband's death that she planned in advance. So if we look at it that way, it's not looking very good for her. And also, just to analyze it, it could be that Kouri thought her husband was a really good father, and she just preferred him dead. And so she could write a very glowing picture of him because he was no longer interfering with the life that she wanted to live. So it's very interesting to look at it from that perspective.
Do you think it could influence a jury, or is it, as I said before, like if you think she's guilty, this makes her look diabolically evil, right? But if you have some doubts, you're like, could you see someone looking at this and saying, oh, well, okay, you know, maybe she didn't do it, and this is her way of trying to help the kids through the whole thing?
I think killers can have different sides, and they can categorize their emotions. So it's very possible that Kouri wanted to assist her kids in grieving their father, and she wanted to be a mother in that way, but not enough not to kill her husband. So they both can go together quite seamlessly. You know, she liked her husband as a father, but not as a husband, and didn't want to be attached to him, wanted to get rid of him. Money was more important. Her lover was more important. And so it is twisted, and it gives us insight into her mind and how she could justify how she is a good person, even though she did what she did.
And Greg, as we talk about this, and obviously the context of the book is about the children, everyone at home right now is wondering, how are the children doing?
So the kids are with the family that they had known and they'd grown up with, and so their life wasn't as disrupted as you might have expected from something like this. And by all accounts, they're doing very, very well.
That's great to hear. What role will Kouri's lover play in the trial? Still with us, the attorney representing the family of Eric Richins, Greg Skordas, and joining us, nationally known psychotherapist, host of Talking Live and the Bite-Sized podcast, author of a book on killer spouses, Till Death Do Us Part, Dr. Robi Ludwig. Dr. Robi, what do you think of those text messages? Does that sound like the real deal?
Well, it sounds like Kouri really believed that she was in love, and I imagine she's the type of person who sees people as all good or all bad and nothing in the middle. And clearly she was idealizing her lover and the life that they would have together. So she clearly saw this lover as someone who was good, who was going to make her happy, they could be rich together and raise kids. So it was very clear in her mind what she wanted to do with him.
The state's been kind of coy on that a little bit, Vinny, whether or not he is going to testify. My guess is that he will, but I don't have any inside information on that. If he does, and he corroborates these text messages, and he corroborates the plan that they have together and their affair, it certainly helps the state's case a lot.
Yeah, Dr. Robi, it seems like there is more to this alleged motive in the case. I think money seems to be a driving force because they're talking about the money as well. But it seems like she is planning some level of a future with her lover.
Mm-hmm. And it's very convenient to have a dead spouse where you inherit a lot of money versus a divorce where you may not get any money at all. And Kouri is a disturbed person. I think that we could, observe that in her interactions with people, her history, the dog walking letter. This is a girl who really feels that she can create the life she wants to create and play by her own rules, even if those rules are not moral. She makes it okay for herself. And so all the pieces of the puzzle are really fitting together, where we see somebody who basically portrays nothing's going to get in the way of her having what she wants or who she wants.
Greg, if he does testify for the state, for the prosecution, is he vulnerable on cross-examination in any way?
That's a good question. You wonder what his vulnerability would be. And I guess the question would be, what's in it for him? Did he get some quid pro quo from the government? That is to say, we won't prosecute you. I don't think they would have had a good case against him anyway, because there's no evidence that he poisoned Eric. So I don't know that he'd be very vulnerable. If he comes and testifies and he corroborates those text messages that you just read, then I think that's pretty compelling. And if I was a defense attorney, which I do, but that's what I primarily do, I would try to stay away from him, because he could really hurt the defense if you get too deep into this relationship and his motive or whatnot. I mean, he's part of this, but in a tangential way that's going to probably end up helping the state if he testifies.
And Dr. Robi, how about what that moment would be like if he comes in and is testifying for the state, providing information that makes her look more guilty? What do you think that moment will be like for her and for him?
Well, I'm sure for him it's very scary to be involved with somebody who actually could murder their spouse. I'm sure she presented as very charming and ingratiating and fun. Sometimes sick personalities can appear very fun at first. And I imagine Kouri would feel very betrayed, but she's somebody who's looking after herself. So if she needs to cut him loose in order to move forward, she's somebody who could definitely do that. But no, it would be very damaging to hear what this lover thought of his former girlfriend, and if he had any inkling at all about what she was up to. But he could really seal the deal in this case.
And Greg, is there any indication that Eric knew about this?
There is some indication about that. That's a good question. And he knew that the marriage was on the rocks. He knew that there were problems. And Dr. Robi said it better than I could have a minute ago, which was that he was worth a lot more to her as a widow than as a divorcee. And I think that once he realized the marriage was on the rocks for whatever reason, because she was having an affair or because she was trying to kill him, whatever his thought was, she recognized that because of the prenuptial agreement and whatnot, that she was going to get a lot more money if he died than with a divorce.
Greg Skordas, Dr. Robi Ludwig, thank you both so much. We really appreciate it.